So just like you.
All right, we will call this Monday, September 18th, 2017, regular session meeting of the Somerset School Board to order at 7 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our district mission is together we engage, educate, and empower all learners, bridging their passions to pathways to create successful futures and positively contribute to our local and global communities. Our core strategies are we will improve educational delivery and learner connectedness to schools and communities. We will improve services and facilities through innovative and proactive resource allocation. We will build and maintain a culture in which all community members understand, collaborate, and contribute to accomplishing our mission. And we will seek, cultivate, and develop leaders. Board members, item 1D has a reminder of our protocols. Please take a moment to review them. And the next item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Is someone willing to make that motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Bob. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions or concerns about the agenda tonight? All right, all of those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Motion passes unanimously, 5-0. And once again, I think I've skipped a roll call. Tasia, will you please take roll call?
Brian Walton,
Here.
Katie Thurman, Marie Colbeck,
Here.
Nancy Dressel,
Here?
Courtney Kirkowski, Bob Gunther,
Here.
Patty Schachner.
Here. Thank you. All right, next up, we're gonna move on to the reports section of our agenda, and we'll begin with the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Just if you look at the enrollment update, and I believe, I don't see Dave here yet, but I believe we had our actual third or fourth week counts on Friday. And so, as of closing last year into this year, we're down 37 kids. They are across the board. It's not as big a jump in JK as I thought. 'Cause we had 84 this year. Last year we started out with 95, and then we jumped up to around 113 by the end of the year. So we got a little bit there, but Nancy was talking. You've seen some pieces through the middle school and high school mostly.
I was just mentioning to Mark that during our annual meeting last week, there was a table of enrollment that was presented that showed our enrollment over the last several years. And when you followed a grade level through that chart, there was a typical increase in kindergarten and ninth grade when you have students that are joining any school system. But there was a potential trend of losing students in our middle school grades and our high school grades. So I think it's just something to be aware of, that potentially we do have families that are choosing other options. And it's not just a smaller grade level in JK that's potentially impacting our enrollment. So something we might be able to watch over time as we make improvements, that hopefully we would also see increases in enrollment.
One year doesn't make a trend, but that's something we really want to watch, that JK piece. And usually if you see a small JK or kindergarten coming in, it's usually followed by a larger group. There's just some groups that hold kids back a little bit one more year and what have you. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, because as you know, that directly impacts our budget. So just a couple of short things I have, or brief things I have here. We'll be moving that second August board meeting from the 16th to 23rd.
August, are you saying?
Did I say August?
Yeah.
October, I'm sorry. It's
Okay.
After today, I had to take some more pain pills. So October, yes, from the 16th to the 23rd, and that's because of the cash flow borrowing. And we had to do this last year, and again, it's the process and how quickly we have to sell the bonds right after that's approved, or we have to approve it. So we only have a few days there. So, and we made that change last year also, so we're gonna go from the 16th to the 23rd. We have 5 Mondays in October, and I think Nancy was talking about trying to go a retreat in there somewhere also. So,
I'll be on it.
okay.
Oh, right there.
The only other thing I have is just, last week, a real busy time around the school, sad situation, but, I gotta hand it to Shannon and her crew over at the high school. I'm in the middle school, rallying the troops and all the extra support that we had, to get our staff and kids through this. I haven't heard anything. I believe it went very smoothly. We were able to accommodate everybody who wanted to go over, and students and staff alike, so we're in good shape there. Planning for homecoming is starting. I think it's October 13th. So if you want to get involved with any of the festivities, we'll make sure we include you in a pep fest or two. So. Outside, that's all I have. Most of my stuff will come in the extra session for once and then, so I'll keep it short here.
Thank you. Then additionally in our reports, we had financial reports. Did the board members have an opportunity to review those, and did you have any questions? Maybe that Mark might be able to answer, or get Dave's answer
Probably
too.
won't, but I'll go find Dave. It depends what the questions are. Do we have money? Yes. Do we?
Did we find out anything from Aviance? Refund that they were talking about, Dave was talking about last month?
I'll be honest, the food service piece?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch that, I'm sorry.
So David mentioned that they overcharged us.
Oh, that's right, now I remember. No, we haven't talked about that at all, so.
Okay. Would we be able to get a follow-up
Sure.
on that? Thanks.
That's right, I forgot all about that, because how much was that? That was a significant amount, too. 23,000 or something. Okay, now it's all coming back to me now, okay.
It's a lot.
Oh, you know what, there was one other thing, I'm sorry. We got some bids in on putting in a state-of-the-art system for videotaping and that. The bids are coming in between $8,000 and $11,000 for that, and I can send those out to you, so, I don't know if we're waiting for another one, and then we'll bring it to a work session, we can have some discussion on that.
Will it have the ability to live stream?
That I don't know, I think so. I think I saw something in one of them, but let me check on that. But we'll bring that to a work session, we have some conversation, all the components, and probably have Matt come and talk a little bit about it. The nice thing about that is it would, wouldn't be carrying a tripod around, and a little, higher quality, and plus this would be under Tasia's supervision there, so we know it can be done right all the time.
No pressure.
Just say it. Whenever she's behind something, it's done right and well.
Excellent. So, hearing no other questions about financial reports, we will move on to item 2C, school board member reports. So as Mark said, we'd like to move the October regular session to October 23rd to support cash flow borrowing. I'm wondering if the board would consider doing a retreat on the 16th to go through our goal setting process. Typically, that's something that we would have accomplished already this time of year. And because it's a new process for us, I think it's gonna take us a little bit of concerted time to get through it. And in trying to honor Marie's request to keep those type of items at the bottom of our work session, but also keep our work sessions less than 2 hours. We aren't necessarily accomplishing it in a reasonable amount of time. So what are your thoughts about that?
Be only to board members, or would we have administration? Something we have in the past.
Well, so the purpose would be setting our board goals.
Okay.
So I think it's up to the board if we would want to.
I was.
Usually in the past, we correlated them with what administration and strategic plan was, so
Mhm.
totally worked well in the past, so.
What date did you say, Nancy?
Well, I'm wondering if October 16th, when our initial regular session
Was
was
supposed to
scheduled
be.
for, would work?
I won't be here. I'm
Okay.
at meeting in Florida.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted feedback is, did we want Dave Metzen to come in and facilitate for us? I can see if he's available.
With admin,
Hmm?
with administration?
Potentially.
Okay, I thought, we had talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a good idea to bring David and do one with the administration, personally.
So the 16th and the 23rd are out. We got the second as already a work session, and 9th this homecoming week. Are any of those better for people?
Would the ninth work for you?
The ninth would work. Yeah.
So I'll start by reaching out to Dave Metzen and see if he's available October 9th and confirming with Courtney and Katie. And then we'll try to schedule a retreat for the purpose of goal setting in the area of relationships and accountability. Yes. Yep.
The 9th, you said you're trying to shoot for?
Yep. Yep, we'll see if Dave's available. And I will email the board an update on that. Then the Village of Somerset Economic Development Committee met for the first time. Mark will be representing us on that committee, but he was not available that evening, so I sat in for him. And so it was just really interesting to learn about what projects are going on in the village. They're working with the food pantry, trying to identify some land that the food pantry could build a building on. There's a landscaping business coming into town that they're working with. There's a cabinetry business in town that they're working with. The boat, St. Croix Storage has started its building. And they're, the land that's around the Highway 64 interchange, they looked at a development that had been brought forward in 2001. And we're going to go back to the owners and ask them to consider a new development that aligns with the new requirements for lot size and things like that, and might better meet the vision that the village has currently. So it was really great to learn about things that are occurring in our village for growth and development, and so that's my update for the board. Bob knows way more than I do, so if you have any questions, ask him. Then the other thing that I had on there was the WASB data dive workshops. They're coming up in Chippewa Falls on September 29th, which is a Friday. They're sponsored by the Wisconsin School Board Association, and particularly given that the board is interested in setting a goal around accountability. If you click on the link on our agenda, there's a morning session and an afternoon session. The morning session is around academic achievement and how boards can use that data in their decision making. And then the afternoon session is about finances, facilities, and operations, and what type of internal and external data pieces that boards can use to inform their decision making. Mark is gonna be out of town at a conference, but I had asked him if we have some board members in attending, maybe if Trish and Dave might be available to attend with a couple board members. So I'm wondering if anyone's available and would like to attend that.
In Milwaukee that weekend.
Say hi to Avery.
If I got a couple weddings to be done for, but if I run down, then I can do it.
Right. I'll follow up with Courtney and Katie too, but potentially Marie and I will have
I
some
think that'd be
information.
really interesting too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so hopefully we'll actually have some information to share with the board, maybe on our October work session, and that might inform some of our work on October 9th.
And that's an all-day thing in Chippewa Falls. Do you have a start time on that?
Yep, if you click on the link on the agenda, registration starts at 8:30. So the first one's 8:30 to noon, and then the afternoon one is, lunch is included if you go all day, and then it's 1 to 4.
And is it something where they usually go all day, or is it something where they usually participate only half the day? Is it?
You can
does it count from
choose,
that?
you can choose
I mean,
to,
what have they done in the past, that's what I'm wondering. Do they usually only take half of the day? Is that,
essentially it's two separate workshops that you could
Right.
choose to attend morning or afternoon or
that I
both.
get? What have we usually done in the district? No.
Both.
I'm just curious if
Both.
Trish, they've done it
Oh,
before.
Well, I thought you meant in general.
I don't
If they've
know.
ever done it. I think they have done it before. I don't know if they've stayed the whole day or what. I could check with Trish.
I don't think we've ever had administrators attend a Wisconsin School Board Association training.
No, I thought this was the data-driven one.
It is, it's sponsored by the Wisconsin Association of School
But
Boards.
you were saying that you wanted Trish or Dave to go in place of, is that what you meant?
Yeah, I meant that accountability reports will have to be a collaboration between us. And so it might be good to have someone from the administrative team and then someone from the board.
Attend.
Yeah,
And I believe Trish has attended some of these, not
I don't know
necessarily
if you
from
went to the
WASB, not
school
from the
board. No,
WASB,
no.
but from other things.
Yeah.
And so to have the correlation might be interesting.
Mhm.
Is that what the angle I was taking on? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mean she was at this one in particular, but she's been to some data driven. I thought they actually
Sure.
sponsored one here. Was it here? Were they all dug into it? I can check with her.
Well, we have our own, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
but I
not
thought there was,
outside.
but I
Well,
thought
we
there
do
was
the,
one.
we do the, what's the day called, all the
Ed
districts.
camp?
Yeah, where all the
What's
districts.
the day that we have all of
Ed
it?
camp?
Yeah, Ed camp.
That would be different though than.
Yeah, that's
than
But it
what
was a
this-
way of diving into the data, so it'd be
Yeah.
kind of neat to maybe correlate the two.
Ed camp really isn't a data-driven piece, they're
I
more
thought
best
one of them
practices.
was that she had attended.
So
But I'll check with
they
her.
have lots of things up at CISA that I'm sure
Mhm.
Trish attends and takes principals and teachers to. And I know that Trish, with her curriculum
Yeah.
directors up at CISA and also here, they often share data with each other to be able to support their,
Is that gonna work for
Action
you to
steps.
have one of them?
Oh, I'll find out.
all right. So we'll look to see if we can have a couple board members and potentially one of the administrators attend that. And now I'm very excited because
Can
we
I
have,
put in CISA's here too? Is this where you want that, or do you want this somewhere else? School
oh,
board?
no, go ahead.
When I was at CISA this past week, they were talking, it came up about the educator effectiveness and then also the PI 34. And one of the things SEC is doing, because they've taken out the initiative for teachers to necessarily go back to credits, they're actually tying a monetary pay difference into those that do pursue more credits. So I thought that was an interesting way to look at it. He basically emphasized around the table, it's really up to local control, how we see the people. So, something to consider. Are we having a difficult time with substitute teachers?
Mhm. Yeah, it's,
Shortages by, across the board.
you know, part of it's, you know, shortage of people, but then it's also rate of pay also. We've been trying to keep up, but now I think Hudson just, what, they go to 125 now, we're at about 100. You know, so they keep raising the bar, and we've gotta try and keep going, and, you know, those are increments of, you know, I think to the budget, $8,000 to $10,000 a year, just to keep up with the Joneses.
Well, and it's across the state by some.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So any parents out there, we should be tapping into that.
He's got a college degree, get up there.
Anybody's got a
yeah.
bachelor's degree, that's.
Just a bachelor's in fairness in districts.
Bachelor's.
It's all you need is a 4 year.
I have seen schools that have posters, you know, not just postings on a community wall, but posters hung up in their entryways, highlighting what openings they have and encouraging parents and community members to apply.
Because we've got some parents that, you know, if they stuck their foot in the door, they might be surprised how much they love. And if it is hard to find them especially. And some of the college graduates that have not found the placement that they want, for sure. I was just talking to a gal 2 days ago, and, you know, we're maybe missing the boat if we don't tap into some of those.
That's how a lot of people break into teaching, is they long-term
Right.
subbing or, you know. A lot of times we have people that just want to sub here, and that's great, but, you know, we're in that, there's a lot of opportunities out there. And
Let's make it more fun here.
Yeah. I can make $24 more by driving 5 more miles, I can do it.
But if it's more fun here.
That's right. I don't remember results around fun, but we sure had one next year at core planning, you bring that up.
Yeah.
So,
All right, thank you.
Were they collecting data about which districts do include incentive for credits in their?
Howard just shared that about SCC as one of the ways they would like to encourage it.
There's a lot more local control on relicensing. and
Definitely.
Life license, and that we'll have to get into a little bit. Because now it's possible for us to grow our own, so to speak,
That's how
in
it's
special
done.
areas.
Yes. Very individual, localized.
All right, maybe that'll be something that you can mention to the HR auditors to consider as they're reviewing our compensation. Any other board member reports? Alright, so now we get to switch gears. We have our new student representatives with us this evening. Welcome. Would you guys mind introducing yourselves to the board?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Hunter Young. I am a junior at Somerset High School, and I'm associated with the football team. I'm the starting center, and I'm also on the track team.
Hi, I'm Emma Kelso. I'm a senior here. I've been involved in drama for the last 3 years, and I'm also a figure skater. I have been for about 14 years.
Well, we really enjoy having the student perspective on our board, so we're really excited to hear your report. And we want you guys to feel welcome to participate in our meetings, so if you have questions or have a perspective to offer, wave, and we'll make sure that you get to share your perspective and questions with us. So we're excited for your report.
We have plenty of pictures to show you guys of all the fun stuff we've been doing at the high school. I kind of wanted to start off by saying that I think that this is by far the best year that we've had at Somerset High School, and I think throughout the district that can be said the same. I think it's coming up. We have been experiencing a lot of new changes that we think are very beneficial for the school and the students. We have enjoyed the new teaching staff that has been introduced. The flexible seating, and
Shannon, hit the light there.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes, throughout the school in a lot of different classrooms, there are nice, flexible seating options courtesy of Mrs. Donnelly that all students have been appreciative of so far.
one big thing that a lot of the students like a lot about Miss Donnelly's new changes is the ability to get outside and play games. This was offered before, but it was kind of seen as an escape route for some of the students that made poor decisions. And now, as you can see, we have a lot more students participating in this, a lot of the football players, volleyball girls. We all eat outside now, and one of my favorite additions is the new VR system at our school, which a lot of the students appreciate. We have had a lot of fun this year with Somerset Athletics. Boys soccer team unfortunately lost tonight, 3-2, I believe. The volleyball team plays tomorrow, which we're very excited about, and our theme is blue for Bailey. One thing that was kind of a blessing in disguise was the chalk art that we had last week. As you can see over there, there were quite a few memorial chalk paintings for Bailey below, and it was really good things to help students explain or show how much they loved and cared about her, as we all did at Somerset High School.
And another thing about that was the high school, the staff, the counselors, the teachers, Mrs. Donnelly handled that very well. There were a lot of students deeply affected by that, but we at least think that there were many steps put in place that helped students cope with that unfortunate loss.
Some other things, I don't remember what we all put in the report, but, homecoming. We are planning for homecoming. And we are getting ready. We had a meeting today with Somerset PD about finalizing our parade route, which we did. We are going to start at Larry Forest this year. We're going to have the football team, the volleyball team, the cheerleaders, the fire department, and the marching band with us.
And the cord.
And the court. The court will all be in convertibles. And we have changed the time of that to 1 o'clock. I hope you can all be there to see that. That's going to be a blast.
Stay tuned for route details. We will have them up on the district webpage. Also, we've got homecoming shirts this year. They're not just available for the high school, but they're available for the entire community. So they're on the district webpage. You guys should dive into them.
One big change this year is we moved our tailgate party to Thursday night at Larry Forest. We are doing a kickball tournament. We're going to have contraband there. We are doing the chili feed again. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
The fall musical Fiddler on the Roof is going. I think they're performing in late November, so keep your ears open for dates on that. I think it should be good. Anything else?
That's about it.
All right. Ta-da.
One more question.
Yeah.
Lunches.
Oh, lunches. Yeah, we should.
Be
Yeah.
honest.
I completely enjoy them. I
Yeah.
think they're great.
Yeah.
The pizza is phenomenal. I think all the students appreciate that.
There's
And-
just a lot more choices overall, which I think students really like. Being able to know you can go in there and find something you really like is nice.
And I've heard few complaints about the portions because I sit with football players at lunch and that's usually the biggest complaint is we're fighting over each other's lunches and stealing foods off other people's trays, but this year that has not been a problem. We're all completely full after eating lunch.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Sounds good.
All right,
Thank you
awesome.
for keeping us updated.
Thank you.
John, what made you each decide to do this?
We've both been in student council our entire high school career. And then actually we kind of got voted into the position, but yeah, I don't know, it's fun, we like interacting with everyone.
We appreciate you giving us the time.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate you.
Very much, that was a wonderful report. Your perspective is so valuable to us.
One quick piece with Brian's question about food. Scott, the manager from Conver, he's been here almost every day,
Is he?
monitoring, yeah.
Good.
I mean, last year I hardly saw the people from who were using there at all, but they want to make it work and for nothing but good things. The lines are pretty long though, aren't they?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
they are.
Oh, yeah.
But they're twice or three times as long as they were last year, and that's part of the problem is how do we get more, how do we get kids through there faster? And that's what they're working on now, because, again, they are twice or three times as long as they were.
So our
Wow.
participation is up there.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
That's huge. My daughter, who is 4 years old and very honest, says that everything she's had so far has been delicious.
Oh,
So
there you go.
I think that's a positive feedback from.
She's very honest.
She's a very honest 4-year-old.
Well, it's nice to hear you got more options too.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a difference.
Oh, yeah, it does.
All right, next up is item 3, the open forum. Anyone wishing to participate needs to complete one of the red cards on that table. At this time, I've not received any requests. Is there anyone wishing to speak during this time? Hearing none, we will move on to the next part of our agenda, item 4, which begins with our directors and principals reports. And first up is the dual credit savings.
Yeah, I'm the only one here. So, I threw that in there just as an informational piece, you know, and I met with Jeannie Germain probably 2 weeks ago. You know, we sat down for about an hour and we just kind of walked through, especially with me being new in this position, like what are some ways that we can partner with WITC, what are we currently doing, and what are some things based off of our structure in Somerset High School that we could potentially talk about in terms of bringing on additional opportunities within the building. So after that meeting, she said, oh, I want to make sure that I send you this summary just to kind of give you guys, frankly, an idea of, you know, how many kids are participating in these particular courses for dual credit. You know, so far for 16-17, just what that number is in terms of how much we're saving students and families by allowing them to, you know, get college credit while they're still at our high school. Hot off the presses, literally, I just sent it to you when the meeting started. Jeannie also followed up and sent me a summary of all of the CISA 11 districts. So I sent it all to you. It's this beautiful, colorful pie chart. But it shows you not only Somerset in terms of what we are saving students and families, but just to try to compare in terms of other districts near us or in the CISA 11, which I thought was interesting, and I was happy that she put that together. But she said, I know that you're talking to the board about that tonight, so I thought they might want to see this too. So it was really just an informational piece. You know, one thing that she and I, looking kind of further past, you know, 17, 18, and really kind of looking at our strategic plan and what are some additional things that we can bring on campus for our kids. So that right now, for example, we have students that go to New Richmond for a welding academy, which is an amazing opportunity. We have multiple students participating in it right now. But what are some things that we could maybe create in Somerset to keep our kids here? Maybe not a welding academy, but something else that fits our needs in our district, aligned with our strategic plan. So, you know, really just in the brainstorming phase of that right now based off of our staffing and needs and those kinds of things, so more information to come on that. But that was exciting because I think, you know, if we can find ways to bring more pockets of that kind of stuff to Somerset, you know, we're talking about, as you said earlier, you know, people looking for different opportunities to be able to bring that here. So we don't have to farm out our kids to, you know, other places to get those opportunities, which I think is great. So more to come. I don't know if you have any questions on the dual credit stuff, but it was really just informational. I know you guys like budgets and numbers, so I thought that was pretty amazing that we're, you know, a lot of kids are participating and we're saving families a lot of money by offering that opportunity, so.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's good.
Those are credits that they can take to any school. They don't just go to WITC.
Right.
Those are transcripts that they take with them to any school. I didn't know that was on there, sorry.
You're good.
Mm-hmm.
Keep,
Keep selling it,
It's a good thing. I mean, Hunter's in accounting right now. He can get more credits and he can take
Right.
that to whatever school he's going to, and he'll get credit for that at no cost to us or
yeah. It looks like a good retention too, kids that
Yeah.
registered
Mhm.
to the finish of the class, so
Yeah.
That is great.
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I know Jeannie and I talked too about, you know, kind of looking at trying to broaden some of the areas that we're offering. You know, right now, as you can see, Jen's name is on there, I think 7 times. So she's doing a ton in her department, and, you know, Kelly just added last year the Early Childhood Foundations class, so really trying to figure out what are some other niches that we can kind of hit with our kids to be able to offer a variety of things. So more to come. It's exciting, but we'll see.
There was just an article in the Wisconsin School Board Association Journal about a school district that students are able to get nursing and EMS and other certifications like that in high school also. That's
I think we had kids last year that did nursing over there.
Mhm.
CNA program.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, this was just that they brought it on site.
The students that were in office did the Moss certification last year as an industry certification, the Microsoft Office specialist, and that's something we're looking at this year. We had a grant last year to pay for the testing, but that's also something that those industry certifications, like the CNA, the Moss and stuff, that get those kids.
What's it cost on that certification test?
So it was a grant last year through GPI, and they're not running it this year, so I don't know what
It actually costs.
what it is per student, but the class is second semester, so it's something that to decide on. So the kids are getting a lot out of that with the college credit and then the Moss, and that was a big savings for them.
Thank
And
you.
I think some of them probably would be willing to pay that.
And we discussed that, and just kind of through informal discussion, so.
All right. Then the next step is some information on the flexible seating at the high school.
Yeah, so I I linked for you part of the welcome back presentation that I gave to parents. I actually cut out some slides that I didn't think you needed to know about, but I really kind of focused on the flexible seating piece. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm not exactly sure what information you want. You know, these two, you heard them bring it up already in their presentation. But basically, you know, the purpose and premise, and let me just start with, we're not getting rid of every desk in the building and replacing them all with couches. So let me just start with that. But, you know, we're really trying to reshape and reframe our learning spaces to allow kids to be able to make some decisions in the classroom regarding what kind of learning space works for them. You know, in some of the pictures that I put in there, I went through probably 5 or 6 classrooms, trying to just show you a variety of seating options that are within the building. You know, the black high top tables and chairs, for example, those are filled every day, every hour from 7:15 until the end of the day. I still see kids sitting there during lunch. And kids, you know, the message we kind of have kept sending kids is that we will allow you to experience, you know, a wide variety of these options, you know, and allow you to make some decisions throughout the school day in terms of what's going to work best for you. And basically, we're going to trust you until we can't. And kids have taken great care in really trying to utilize the opportunity to be able to go somewhere in the school that is supervised but not. You know, Jen is a really great example. She's got multiple learning spaces outside her classroom, so she kind of bounces back and forth between the two. Kids are engaged, and I mean, they're loving it. I took some pictures last Friday. I'm trying to see what slide it is. I think it's slide 13. And when I was done, the kids asked me, "What are you taking these pictures for?" I said, "Well, I'm gonna show this to the school board." And they went, "They're not gonna take these away, are they?" I said, No. They're supportive. They just want to know more about it. So, I mean, it's been awesome just giving kids an opportunity to be able to collaborate and just, again, try to figure out what are some workspaces that work better for kids. I've had some kids say that, "Oh, I kind of like the desk." So kids will still have that option too. But you know, a 21st century school really is kind of digging into this kind of stuff. And, you know, I threw some of the slides in there too, kind of, and I went through this with the students too, what the classroom looks like in the 1900s versus what a classroom still looks like today. We have to change. We have to be able to make some of those changes. And kids have been phenomenal. You know, I have some teachers that aren't quite ready for it yet, which is okay. This has all just been, if you want to try it and take some risks in your classroom, let's do it. Let's see what works. Let's see what doesn't work. And teachers, you know, like I said, Jen has been one of the biggest proponents of it. She started this kind of last year. Teachers have been digging it. Corey Lindenberg said, "I see that you're talking about flexible seating tonight. Do you want me to come and talk about it?" I said, "No, we got it." You know, but the kids are loving it. As I'm doing observations, I mean, kids are appropriate, and teachers set structure around kind of what it looks like and how those spaces are to be used. And so it's been, you know, again, these two, I've seen them at lots of flexible learning spaces throughout the building, and I think it's been great. So if there's specific questions, I'm happy to ask, but I just want to clarify again, we're not dumping every desk and only putting couches in the building. So, but are there some spaces that look kind of like little coffee shops? You bet, and it's awesome, so.
We've seen a change from when Carissa first went to college over 14 years ago, and what Cade saw then when he went, and it's very similar to, well, even more so than what we're doing, so I think it's great. The welding, really, I hadn't even thought about how it must look today, because ours still looks like the old one.
Yeah.
So we don't have this, do we?
I would not say in its purest form, but between the work that Eric Olson is doing, working with Brandon Berry, some of our instructional coaches are working with teachers on those exact kinds of things. So we are getting there slow but sure. So
That's where that whole Fab Lab piece comes in, because welding today is not a dirty profession. You know, it's very high tech, and quite the opposite of what we're seeing here.
Well, and they've got them not just in welding, it would be in wood too, would be, so.
So I'm happy to give tours. Anybody wants to come in, please let me know. We'll walk you around and see some of it in action, because it's been pretty great watching kids highly engaged and respecting the space and wanting that independence and freedom to be able to make some of those choices. So
Tell them not to worry.
yeah.
Thanks, Shannon.
Yes, thank you for that information. information.
Yep.
Then, let's see, go over to the back. So the next item on our agenda is item 5, services and facilities, and we have 2 items for approval, for action. So item 5A is a recommendation to approve the proposal and agreement with the McGrath Group to complete a human resources audit.
Yeah.
Is there anyone willing to make that motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Patty. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Fran.
So it looks like it changed a little bit to the upside. You added a handbook to it, so.
That was always in the original,
Okay.
they were just broken up different components of
Okay.
it, so.
Any other questions for
Yeah,
Mark or discussion?
Yeah, so I'm feeling a little concerned with the salary and the survey, benefit study. When we have those findings that come out, what's our action plan gonna be with that? I know it's
Say
supposed
that
to.
again now?
So what is our action plan going to be, when those comparables come out? What's that going to look like? I think one of the things we were hoping to achieve with this is to address a discrepancy in salaries. Now, what does that look like when that is finished? And then what is our action?
Well, I can't tell you what,
plan
I can't,
with that.
if I could tell you what it looked like, we wouldn't be spending this money. But, you know, I think what it's gonna do is validate some of the things we've thought in the past of where some of these discrepancies are. And I think we have to look at some of these areas that we have that are, I'm gonna use our school sites for an example, because, you know, there's a area that's market driven and probably shouldn't be on a teacher schedule. And we've been creating inequities, you know, when we bring people in, just because of what we can get people for, rather than, you know, what we're looking at is when people come into the district, and this has been my philosophy, is when they come in, rather than just because you're making X over here, we give you a little bit of a raise, and you have the same experience of someone making, you know, $10,000–$15,000 here, because we can get you for that. You know, we're looking at, with your years of experience and what have you, what pool do you fit in here? And then we look at a range within that, which is a more equitable way of treating people, and it's not causing these discrepancies that we have. So what I'm looking to gain from this compensation piece is what's regionally appropriate, you know, for these positions. And then, you know, and that's not to say that what they say that we have to do. I think
Right.
it's giving us ammunition to validate how do we want to move from here. And we could very well say, no, we like what we got and how we're doing things, or we say, you know what, we kind of like this, this, and this, let's structure around here. Because we've really got the freedom to do that. But we know, from what I've seen over the hires, we've got some discrepancies that are causing issues. So, again, any way we can, and there's no way to correct them all. I probably have 20-some people that I've talked to about, you know, how come I'm here, they're here, same years. You know, we can't hire people in some positions because we've got people at one level, and now today, if we wanna find person in that job, we gotta pay them, you know, $10,000–$15,000 more, you know, and where's the, you know, how do you feel about that? Now, private sector, you can do it all day long, but schools operate a little differently. And, you know, we have to be cognizant of that, so I'm looking at a way that, you know, we're not gonna make everyone happy, but I think if we have a consistent way of dealing with these situations and make some effort to correct some of these discrepancies, we'll be a lot better, a lot further ahead. It's just, I don't know how to fix all these pieces in a consistent manner. That's what I'm looking for, is consistency on how we treat people. So, yeah, I hope that.
Yeah, and I understand that. I just feel a little uneasy with that, you know, being published and them seeing that. And if we don't, you know, if there's a great big discrepancy in some of these, that, you know, that does encourage them to leave. In fact, some different school district that does pay better, and especially when this is a study that the school conducted that identifies if there is a wage that is, we're significantly paying that we don't have an action plan behind it.
You know, overall, you know, our, from beginning to end compensation is pretty good. And, you know, I think, but it's somehow how things got twisted in the middle there, and how, you know, people were brought in just, again, you know, I don't know when Act 10 was, it was all of a sudden you were given some freedom to do some things that, you know, some districts took advantage of, some didn't, and, you know, again, that's this different philosophy. But I think in general, our compensation is good. Now, the people that, you know, the people that are on the short end of this or feel they do their homework, you know, and they already, you know, I don't think we're gonna open up any surprises to anybody to say all of a sudden, "Oh, hey, I've been underpaid." You know, people know where they're at. You know, and again, we're gonna always fight that metro piece, and we lose people there, but our like I said, our compensation, you know, I mean, you're starting teachers here better than we were at Elk River, and we were one of the highest paying districts in the state. Now, the top end, you know, but, again,
When I've seen districts address concerns like this, what they've done is looked at what they could afford in their budget and done incremental increases over time. And so there were, for a few years, some people that were frozen depending on where they were at and how competitive their area was, and other people that got raises every 6 months incrementally until their position in the system was competitive. And then once the ship was rectified, so to speak, then it went back to the typical wage increases.
you know, looking at the system, you know, if we're in a budget shortfall or what have you, we can't make it up on individuals just coming into the system. You know, it's gotta be across the, you know, top to bottom, you know, spread out, but and again, public sector, it's, private sector is totally different, because you can just, you know, do whatever you want, but we're in a, you know, public business area, and especially a school, it's a different environment that, again, you got a lot of things to consider, relationships, what have you, it all enters into that, success of what we're doing here and that, and we want to, bottom line is we want to treat people fair.
I just wanted to ask that question and see if we had, you know, if that discussion has happened. And, you know, that's a nice example, that it makes me feel better, if we could do something like what you explained. I can help you understand, post-Act 10, I did attend several conferences with their former administrator, based off of how we're gonna do compensation plans and, you know, the things that have changed with that. And I remember one particular conference we were at, and the keynote speaker said, post-Act 10 now creates free agency in the state of Wisconsin, and encouraged school districts to go out and recruit high-performing teachers, go ahead and pay them what you want, get them in your district. And I think we did that, at least, but the attempt was there. But I don't think the cause and effect was completely understood. So if you want a little explanation of how we had such a cobbled up comparisons, that is exactly what happened.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was a move to treat schools more like businesses.
Right.
But again, we're not a business, and it just, you know, you kind of see some of the tails of that and the ramifications of it, and, you know, the more information we have, the better choices we do, the better decisions we can make.
Well, and one way that some districts have addressed high need areas or shortage areas is by building into their compensation plan, identifying high need areas and building in an increased salary for those particular positions. So there are ways to consistently and fairly and transparently recognize that there's a shortage of school psychs, or there's a shortage of special education teachers, and be able to offer competitive wages for those particular certifications. We just need to figure out where we're at and Are there any other questions about the HR audit? All right, we have a motion made by Patty Shockner and seconded by Brian Moulton to approve the proposal and agreement with the McGrath Group to complete a human resources audit for our school district. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes unanimously, 5-0. The next item for action is the 2017-18 wage increases. We have a recommendation for the board to approve implementation of the teacher compensation plan and the 2% wage increase for all other employees for the 2017-18 school year. Is everyone willing to make that recommendation?
So moved.
Thank you, Patty. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions or discussion on that?
I'll make a change in the, I have a request for the minutes to change, but that's later on the agenda. Because when I talked about it, it's referred to, and I'll talk about that. I had put a question in there, but now the wording is a little bit different, implementation of the teacher compensation, rather than just the 2% wage increase, or even average of 2% wage increase, and so I appreciate that clarification in this recommendation.
Any other questions or discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the implementation of the teacher compensation plan and a 2% wage increase for all other employees, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes unanimously, 5-0. So in the community engagement and collaboration portion of our meeting, we do not have any agenda items this evening. We also do not have any in the Seek, Cultivate, and Develop Leaders section. So we're on to item 8, the consent agenda.
So I should have pulled this out ahead of time. I didn't catch the consent ahead of it, but I also think we did have in the Seek, Cultivate, and Develop Leaders, you two are our first in that area. But on this, I'd like to pull out specifically the minutes for the regular session on August 21st. There's a paragraph in there when you bring it up where it says, Colba shared that the board worked through 3 scenarios regarding employee wage increases. She shared that the board has come together and determined a 2% wage increase, and I remember saying an average of a 2% because some will not be seeing that, some would be. So if we can just add the word an average.
Here in the regular session minutes?
Right, for August 21st. Underneath financial reports. I love that you can do that. Thank you.
Is that good?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so I think we need a motion to approve the consent
So
agenda.
with that change in there, I would make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, is there a
I'll second that.
Thank you, Brian. Any other questions or concerns about items on the consent agenda? All those in favor of approving items A through D on the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes unanimously, 5-0. We're on to item 9, general information. Homecoming week. Mark, do you have anything to add about that?
No, I don't. Go ahead.
You mentioned in the parade it's gonna be volleyball, football. I think soccer changed their game to a home game. Are they gonna be, I imagine, part of that parade? too?
Yeah, we are giving them the opportunity to decide if they do wanna walk in the parade.
Okay.
We have,
Walking
They should run.
it? And cross country, I imagine?
Yeah, we're giving all fall activities, you know, if they want to, they can.
One.
You know.
those are just the ones that I know that have.
Confirmed. Great, thank you.
And is that at 1 p.m. on Friday?
On
Yes.
Friday, yes, October 13th.
Ooh.
I know, it's really.
What's the homecoming theme this year?
For the game?
Or what do you mean by that?
Homecoming week,
Yeah.
is there a slogan?
No, I-
We do slogans for each grade,
Ah,
for the backs of their shirts and stuff, so, like, for example, the seniors, there's has a barcode that says class of 2018 and then priceless underneath.
ah.
I don't even know mine. Should I do that?
So I heard you guys mention that there are t-shirts for sale on the district website that all community members and board members are invited to purchase. And then Thursday night, there's a community event at Larry Forest.
Yep,
What
at
time does that
5:30.
start? 5:30? Is there anything else exciting for homecoming week that we should be?
No, we have a whole schedule, did
Yeah.
you guys get copies of that?
I saw it on the website or.
No, we can,
Oh, we'll
we can
send
share
it out
with
to you, there's a whole really nice.
like
that'd
to
be
the,
nice.
like
Was
to
it
the
really, was
minute.
it one or was I dreaming this?
No, no,
It's
no.
a- it's a-
They-
It's all
they-
very detailed, really nice.
Yeah, I shared it with you, I did not share it with all of them,
Oh, well,
but,
send it out to them.
oh, got it.
Is that the one that
I
we
thought
put
you guys had
together?
one, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
why
the
you-
one that
Providing.
Hannah and
She's
Bailey
following
had
the
shared.
chain here.
What'd you say?
Yes, you're following
I-
the chain. You're
I
sending it
emailed
to the
you, I had something else for you there,
administrator.
but that's for close.
Unfortunately, one of our links is still healing. Any other general information?
We're excited, I don't know.
Wonderful. I saw someone holding a calendar earlier, and I think that came out between our last meeting and now, so, if someone didn't get one and would like to receive one, can
Just
they?
call the district office, we'll get it to them, we've got extras at the high school, we got them here, and as I mentioned last time, you know, that calendar, you know, was 99% Renee, took that on, and every year we'll just keep it better and better, so
Mhm.
it's a,
Wonderful.
you don't have to be a cryptologist to read it now, like you did the last one.
Thank you.
There, there are, just go off what, Dr. Busick said, there's extras in each
Bill,
building office. So
Wonderful.
families can go wherever it's convenient for them.
We could get a stack of those at Larry Forest for the community event. That
That's a
might be
good
a
idea.
great way to get some more out too. Thank you. All right, so item 10 on our agenda is to adjourn into closed session. So first, we will need a motion for item 10A1 to adjourn into closed session where the board will consider the employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of a staff member pursuant to Wisconsin statute, section 19.85, section 1, section C. Is anyone willing to make that motion?
So move.
Bob, is there a second?
I'll second that one.
Marie. All those in favor, say aye. All those against? Motion passes 5-0. Then we'll need an additional motion to continue our closed session to consider the performance evaluation of the district administrator pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, section 1, section C. Is anyone willing to make that motion?
So move.
Bob, is there a second?
We're doing that now, prior to the closed session?
Combining.
Okay, I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes unanimously.